Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Podcast with me, your host Freddie Hall. Welcome, Adam, and welcome back, Sky. Looking like a Miami man, very tanned. You can always see the hairline as well.
No, please, no. Don't do that. Jesus, we want to keep the viewers.
Have you had like a wax when you're in Miami?
I'm not gonna go for no. It's just a bit burnt, but nice and brown on the face, you know. But there we go.
I thought you'd be looking a bit red after that performance of the New England Patriots put up against the Pittsburgh Steelers this weekend, just gone.
Yeah, it was
5 turnovers, man.
Fantastic. And I fumbled more American women than Ramondre Stevenson.
Miami will never be the same again.
Yeah. Neither will I after that loss, but
you got to see them beat the Dolphins in a very close.
Yeah. And it was only the second time in history that there was a kickoff return touchdown following a punt return touchdown. So that was pretty. Yeah, I think the other time was in '94, Deion Sanders.
That shows that me and Adam definitely watched the game.
yeah. I don't remember it at all.
The Gibson touchdown down the sideline was right in front of where I was sat, which was pretty cool. And that was just after they had whoever it was that scored for them. Doesn't matter because we won that one. And I'm actually completely, as bad as my predictions are, when we do our halftime predictions, I do the video predictions. The Pats ones have all been right. I said we'd lose to you guys. Said we'd lose to the Raiders, but the Dolphins are awful, so we had to win one.
It still got close though.
Yeah, but
do you still think 11-6 is going to happen?
We'll get at least 9 because our schedule's not
great.
So
no, then.
Whoa. We'll see. It depends. But Drake May's looking good, surely, guys. You can agree with that. He is looking good.
Yeah, he's my fantasy quarterback, and I love it.
He's one of mine in one of the leagues I'm in.
Yeah. I've got no problem with Drake May. It's just the rest of your team.
Well, you lost to the Browns. Sorry, I just had to say that before we move on. You lost to the Browns.
Yeah, that's a good dig. To be fair, that's a good dig. Yeah,
we just didn't fancy it. Clearly,
didn't fancy the unbeaten season. Just thought I would throw it away now. Why not?
Our offense just went there. Don't fancy it today. Sod it.
Well, week 3 has been and gone, and we've got some fantastic topics for us 3 to talk about this evening. One of them has been more in the week. I know this show's coming out a little bit later to you this week, but that's just what it is. So it will be all out for you. We'll clip it up as well. It'll be out on our YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe, and thank you guys for sharing this channel and following us on social media as well. We're going to begin tonight's proceedings with the big news that's happened in the last few days, which is there's a new sheriff in town in New York. There's a new sheriff in town in New Jersey, in East Rutherford. Jaxson Dart, quarterback, third string quarterback, some may say, for the New York Giants, has been named the starter for this weekend's big matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers. They're hosting them in East Rutherford, New Jersey. That means Russell Wilson is going to be riding the bench once again alongside his pal Jameis Winston. I assume they're pals. They might not be. They might not like each other, but we're going to say for argument's sake, they are pals. After losing 22-9 against the Kansas City Chiefs in week 3, that puts them to 1-2 on the season. In fact, 0-3 on the season. Hence why Jaxson Dart has come in. Adam, the 25th overall pick in this draft that's just gone from it was at USC, wasn't he? Yeah.
No.
He was at Ole Miss.
It was at Ole Miss. Sorry. It's because he was at USC and then he transferred to Ole Miss. It doesn't say that on my old notes here. But you sort of, how do I put this politely, lost your shit over it on the WhatsApp group. Why?
That's a bit extreme, I think.
Is this not positive for the New York Giants slinging in their rookie quarterback with 0 starting NFL experience week 3 against the Chargers team that looks like they could be heading for the AFC Championship?
I feel like you don't need me to answer that question based on all them points that you've just come out and come up with. I think this is lunacy. Is probably the nicest way to put it. I think he will be better than Russell Wilson. Yes. That's not difficult. I think one of us could probably have a go at being better than Russell Wilson at the moment. Because unless he's playing a team whose defense is appalling, like the Cowboys, then he can't do anything. So I completely understand the desire to move away from Russell Wilson. I would question what the point of them having Jameis Winston on the roster is. Like, why is he even there then if the argument is, oh, we're going to throw the rookie in already? So that seems weird. I thought Jaxson Dart was decent in preseason. We saw that he put some decent drives together, looked pretty good. I can't understand the logic of putting him in when you're playing against the Chargers. And I don't know, it's at home, isn't it? So it is a home game, but you're still playing against one of the best defenses from last year and a defense that's looked pretty good in the first 3 games as well. So it just feels mental to be doing this, because I just think he needs time and he needs to develop. And I know that I come at it from a slightly different point of view with a lot of people, because I suppose I'm a Packers fan and I've seen what has worked over the last few years. And the fact is that giving Rodgers the time to sit helped him, and giving Love the time to sit has clearly helped him. Although, maybe not last week, but for everything else, he is a much better quarterback now. And when he came in at the time he did, compared to when he played like one random game against the Chiefs the year before, and it feels that it's quite a tried and tested method, that if you give these rookie quarterbacks time, they normally develop and do well. And I think that Jaxson Dart will show that he can rush the ball. He can run with the ball, which Russell Wilson just can't anymore. And there'll probably be a bit of excitement and everyone will turn up and he'll have some good plays. But there's going to be times where he's going to end up getting hit badly by the Chargers defense, because they are that good. And he'll probably end up throwing an interception or two, because he is that the Chargers defense is that good. And then it's really just about, can he cope with that? And it just kind of feels like the Giants have got a tough schedule this year. There is no right place to put him in, but it kind of feels a little bit like he's just not getting any experience and you're just going to throw him to the wolves. And I just think it's a bad organization that have made loads of bad decisions, and they're just making another bad decision.
Bring you back to the schedule for a second. I mean, like you said, the Chargers at home, then they're at the New Orleans Saints. I mean, it's not a litmus test game, let's be honest with you. Then they're hosting the Eagles, at Denver, then at the Eagles, then hosting the 49ers, then at the Bears, then hosting the Packers, then at the Lions, then at the Patriots. They're playing what? 1, 2, could call it 3, 4 of the best top 4 of the top 10 defenses in the league before their bye week in week 14. Then they host the Commanders, host the Vikings, at the Raiders, host the Cowboys for the last game of the season. The spin on it, Sky, is I don't think any NFL well, you could argue with the talent they have. Is there a right way to be getting your rookie quarterback into a team? Because we've seen it in different ways. Mahomes sat the whole time for Alex Smith, comes in, is incredible. Lamar Jackson sat till the last 2 games of the season. The Ravens are basically out of it. Flacco got dropped. Jackson came in, played last 4 to 2 games, I think it was. Kyler Murray started day 1. Caleb Williams started day 1. Kenny Pickett came in after about 4 weeks. There's probably loads more on the top of my head that I could go after 5 weeks, after this many weeks. Mac Jones, your quarterback. Not Mac Jones, Drake May, but Mac Jones as well. Mac Jones was day 1 starter, wasn't he? Was Drake May day 1 starter?
Drake May was week 3 last year, funnily enough.
Week 3.
Week 3 he came in.
Week 3. I know I've just mentioned them quarterbacks, and as I've mentioned them, they've got worse and worse and worse, really, haven't they, when I've talked about it? But Mahomes is on an unreal level. Jaxson is on an unreal level. May, we think, can be on an unreal level. Kyler, for all is said and done, has played at a very decent standard. Caleb, we still don't know where we're at yet. We were quite negative about him last week. Kenny Pickett, no longer a starter in this league, not even probably a second string in this league anymore, to be honest with you. What do you think? Do you think it's each, is it quarterback by quarterback? Is it feel? Is it draft position? What is the right method for these rookies to come in at?
The thing I saw really interesting the other day, I don't know, you guys might not have seen this, but there was obviously the Patriots Hall of Fame, and there was Edelman and Bill Parcells. And someone shared a thing online where Bill Parcells did his, I wrote this down, and it's about his requirements for drafting a quarterback. And it was, must be a 3-year starter, must have started at least 30 games and be a winner of 23 wins or more. And then it was like 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, 60% pass completion, etc. And the reason I mentioned that is because Jaxson Dart's college, he did have 3 years where he played 28-13 record, 65.2%, pass completion, 81 touchdowns to 27 picks. And I think it's interesting in the NFL that we spend all offseason talking about who's the best, their intangibles, etc. We always talk about college. And then when they're in the league, everyone sort of forgets about what they've done in college, and then it's sort of like, let's focus on this organization and I think as much as Adam is right and that they're throwing him to the Lions because of the teams that they're playing, you have to sort of account for that. People do, it's a bit different to when we had Jerome Mayo last year and then we threw Drake May, and people do think that Dable's still a capable head coach when they made the playoffs a couple of years ago. Maybe some people disagree with that now, but he's obviously trying to save his job. You would like to think that as badly as they are run, he at least wanted Jaxson Dart as his quarterback. So of course he's going to start him now because he's got to show that there's some growth and he can at least, develop a team. Because they have got some nice young pieces, Scatterboo, Neighbours, decent players on the defense who kept them in that game last week. It was just the offense that let them down. So I guess it's a bit of I've given you a long-winded answer saying it does depend on each sort of quarterback. But I do think in this situation, as bad as the Giants are, it's not like, even in Drake May's case, Jaxson Dart played more games in college than Drake May. I think he actually is ready to at least give it a go. And in his press conference, he said they asked him about starting, and he was like, I'm ready. You've got to be on your shit, point blank. And I was like, do you know what? He sounds like fair play. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, it is head scratchy to me still, though. I mean, I do think Wilson's not played well. He's had 3 games. He's passed for under 200 yards. He passed for 157 and 151 against the Commanders and Chiefs. Terrible. Threw for 422 against the Cowboys, but we've seen this Cowboys defense, and they're not great. He's thrown for 3 touchdowns? Didn't throw for any touchdowns in that. Sorry, he's had 3 turnovers. Apologies on that one. He's only thrown for 1 touchdown. Am I right in that? No,
I might not right against Dallas. Right? Like, he looked awful against the Commanders, and then Cowboys.
He's 6th in attempts at 110, 6th in yards 778. He's had 3 touchdowns. 3 interceptions. Sorry, I've misread the 1 touchdown. He's had 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He's 15th in first downs with 31, 26th in pass success rate 40, which is 40.2, 20th in QBR, which is 54.3, and joint 9th in sacks, which is 7. So when you hear the 6th, you're like, oh, well, that's pretty good. It was 1 game. It was 1 game. Now, I know they've only had 3 games, but that was just 1 game. He's been pretty woeful in the other 2. And when the Giants have got this defense, this young, good defense, and we think it's good. I'm pretty confident that it's pretty decent. This defense can go places if it develops and develops. You need that offense to complement it. And Sky, you said it right there. Neighbours, Scatterboo, Tyrone Tracy when he's healthy. Wandale Robinson, I think, is a pretty decent utility wide receiver as well. I think there's a lot right there. The one thing, Adam, is which is Andrew's defense a lot for the Giants is, he's never had his quarterback, Daboll. He's never had his guy. He never wanted Daniel Jones. He never wanted the guys that he got given. Well, he's been there a while now. He's got his quarterback. He's now thrown his quarterback in quite early for most people, I suppose. Surely this is such hot seat. If this goes badly for the rest of the season, it could go very positively. We don't know. But let's say this goes badly for the rest of the season. He loses his job here, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be surprised if he doesn't. I mean, to be honest, even like you say, even if it goes well, I mean, how well can it go based on what's happening here? I mean, you're dealing with a rookie who's never played. before. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get. But the other thing is, how well can it actually go? Because you are going up against a Chargers team, so you're probably going to lose that one. You're going up against the Eagles twice, you're probably going to lose at least one of them, probably two. You're going up against the Broncos team. You're going up against the 49ers. Okay, not as great as what they were, but still a decent team. The Packers, the Lions, the Bears. You know, you got the Bears, the Patriots. If he's decent, then they become like coin flip games.
You rely sorry to interrupt you. You rely heavily on your defense keeping you in the game there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That puts a lot of reps on them. And yeah, we're running down the list. The Saints is the only easy game, but you say the 49ers. 49ers are winning games. You don't know what they're going to be like by week 9, but they're winning games. The Bears, week 10, we don't really know what they are yet. We think they might have some momentum. They're seen as one of the weaker teams. The Patriots seen as a weaker team at the minute in week 13. They may have found some form by then. The Raiders by week 17, who we're not sure are a very good team just yet, they may have found some form. Like it is week 3. There is a lot that can happen, but from what we're seeing visually now, it's out of the frying pan into the fire, isn't it?
Essentially, yeah. And this is the problem. And this is what I'm saying about bringing in a rookie quarterback at this time. It feels that it's just like, yeah, he could be decent. Like chances are he will probably be all right. It's his first year. He's not going to do anything amazing, but he will be all right. He will be decent. If that happens, then great. You know you've got yourself a quarterback. But chances are you're not going to win loads of games from this. And the fact is, if they have a season where they win 5 games, 6 games, Daboll's gone. They're not going to hang. It was on the hot seat anyway last year, and it was almost like he's gone. So then what are we doing? Now we've got a quarterback who's going into his 2nd season and a brand new head coach. And what happens normally when a brand new head coach comes into a team? They want their own quarterback. The organization is a joke. That is the problem. They're so misguided. It's all over the place. We were talking about Caleb Williams and Chicago just last week, and we were coming out going that we feel that Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams maybe not 100% at the moment. Maybe in time they will be, but at the moment it's not 100% right. Yes, they did well last week. They played against the Cowboys, whose defense is appalling. So, you know, we don't, like you say, we don't really know. But the point is, if it's not his guy, he's probably not going to want him over time. He'll get rid of him and he'll bring in his guy who he does want. And you're going to end up with another head coach, and you're doing the cycle all wrong again. And you just need to let him sit. But they're not going to, because they're desperate. And it's got disaster written all over it.
And does iron make iron? You know, does the coal become the diamond that it needs to be, or does it go poorly again? And let's say he does have an okay season, right? And they've got, let's call it the 11th pick in the draft. Yeah, they've got their quarterback, they've got their left tackle, they've got their edge rusher, they've got their weapon. Like, what is it? A lockdown corner they might want a bookend right tackle to make it. But like, what? Okay, you get another top tier, but how many these guys are going to have to get paid at some point as well. Bear in mind, and if Jaxson Dart is your guy, you can't pay Dart, you can't pay Malik, and you can't pay Abdul Carter. Brian Burns gets to 2 years older, let's say. The money is then going to run out. Like, you've got to be so intricate with the timing of these things, don't you, as well? And then Cam Scatterby, from what we've seen so far, looks like is an exciting runner. Okay, his running might lead to injury because he's a hard-nosed runner, but he may want top-end running back money when it comes to it if he can progress in the right way. You know, it is that money pot. Is Andrew Thomas, if he needs a new contract at some given point, that might have to be a case as well. That money pot is something that maybe you have to run out. You know, think about secondary sky, but how much more does this team need? Like, what? Because if Jaxson Dart isn't it, I don't really know what is it.
I feel like that as an organization, they're probably doing that thing where, like, obviously Daboll would have had involvement in the draft process, right? But you like a guy the same way when, like, Gerard Mayo weren't the guy who picked Drake May. Obviously, like you've got your other people who are scouts and GMs, etc. So they probably know, like Adam said, Daboll is going to get fired. But then you just get a coach who's bought into that quarterback. Like we know Ben Johnson went because of Caleb Williams, right? He clearly saw some potential there. Played coached against him twice last year. Vrabel, like straight May. Wouldn't surprise me if, I don't know, Cliff Kingsbury probably wants another crack at a head coach job, right? Division rival. Maybe he would end up the head coach next year of the Giants. And then they sort of go to Daboll. Oh, yeah. Because Daboll actually said in the media, it was my decision about the change. And as soon as he said that, I was like, well, I don't know. Like, you saying that doesn't really make me believe you. He's not very charismatic in press conferences anyway. But like you said, they probably will make that change because they'll be conscious of they're in a strong division. They know that people are going to get paid in a few years. So you do that thing where you sort of go, yeah, okay, Daboll, it's, this is your ship. You keep steering it along for us. But really, GM will stay, and then the guys above will just hope that they see it need at least enough development so that they can entice an offensive-minded coach, or at least someone who can bring the best out of all those guys you mentioned.
I think we're also seeing it around the NFL at the minute. The guys who are good head coaches, really just good coordinators, and actually pretty bad coordinators. When you look around the league at the minute, we're seeing guys that are going other places, ex-head coaches, new head coaches. And I think we're starting to see, the guys that, yeah, they've got head coach potential. Yeah, he was a head coach, but he's way better as a coordinator, really. He couldn't get that done in other places. And then you've got some coordinators at other places who were a head coach and have been a coordinator, and you go, they actually are just not it. And maybe it might be a case for Brian Daboll in the end is actually just a really good coordinator and not much of a, not head coach. There's nothing wrong with that. There's some very, very good guys who have stepped down from head coaching roles who have been taken away and have been sacked, and then they've gone to another team and been very successful coordinators. Brian Flores being one of them, notably at the minute. Dennis Allen's doing a pretty good job as well at the moment. We'll move on and we'll talk about our next subject right after our message from today's sponsor.
Have you ever dreamed of managing your favorite pro football team? Do you watch your team and think the GM got it wrong again? Do you think you could do better? Here's your chance to prove it. Introducing Ultra GM, a revolutionary new take on fantasy football that makes you the general manager of your favorite team. Start with the team's full roster and build it through the draft, free agency, trades, and even the practice squad to create your ideal team. No fantasy football platform or GM simulator has ever provided the degree of realism and engagement that Ultra GM offers. And none has ever given you the opportunity to manage the team that you love and care for most. Compete against family, friends, and even your team's real GM to see who is the Ultra GM. You think you can do better than your team's GM? Visit ultragm.com to prove it.
Let's get
Fred,
on to
can I just say, that is great work. That voiceover. Now that I've heard it out loud as opposed to in my ears, it's better than when Gary Neville on the over was like, when I was at Man United, and we had no nutrition, but why don't you buy Heal? You've got a new career, mate.
I've been watching. I don't know if you've ever seen Plebs, but I've been watching it a lot recently. And obviously, Grumio, the character in that, he sounds like a Mancunian. And so, me and my partner around the house are constantly talking in Mancunian at the minute. And also, my partner's sister and her partner live in Manchester, and he's in Manchester as well. So, yeah, we do a lot of Gary Neville style accents around the house at the minute. It's a lot of Salve Grumio, our outland lord. There's a lot of that. If anyone hasn't watched Plebs, big up Plebs. It is so good.
Beautiful voice, mate. Voiceover career's coming.
Cheers, mate. And make sure, thank you, Ultra GM, for sponsoring this video. Make sure you check them out and use our promo code FTAG to get involved in a revolutionary style and take to fantasy football. Next on the agenda, Carson Wentz has made his big splash return with the Minnesota Vikings, beating the Cincinnati Bengals 48-10. Not even beating them, smashing the Cincinnati Bengals. That was after losing against the Atlanta Falcons the week prior. They are back onto winning ways, only scoring 6 points in that game as well. They're back to winning ways. And they were also, I believe he went down in the game, but Aaron Jones also now headed to IR as well. So they wouldn't about him. They had Jordan Mason starting, but Wentz went 14 for 20, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns, and only 3 sacks. On the day, had a couple of rush attempts. 2 attempts for 4 yards. Yeah, JJ McCarthy obviously injured, not there at the minute. Wentz has now been named the starter as well, Sky, but will be in Dublin, which is where me and you will be this weekend for the Pittsburgh Steelers Minnesota Vikings game. And I can imagine JJ McCarthy's not gone with them. However, I don't know that for sure. I may have to look that up in a minute.
He's going to split the G. Maybe that's what he's doing this weekend.
Maybe that's it. That's how the fastest way to recovery is Guinness. That's what I do here. That's why I drink enough of it. Which will mean, so that will mean for their international tour, obviously they're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers in Dublin this weekend, and then they're playing the Cleveland Browns in London at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium the weekend after, which again will be in attendance for. Wentz is having an international tour. This is European Wentz, European Carson coming to conquer the whole of Europe with the Minnesota Vikings.
Is he left Meghan Markle at home, so he's come back to UK? This is Carson Wentz's UK and Ireland, I should add. He's come back to
UK and Ireland, yes.
He has returned. I don't know. We all love a bit of a throwback, right? It was what, 8-9 years ago since since Eagles fans said he should have won the MVP. They won the Super Bowl anyway, so I don't know why they're still, always banging on about that. But no, it was good. I think we all look, he had a good game, but Mike Tomlin's even been saying in the build up to this about the arsenal of weapons that offense has, and how, I don't know if I took it as a slide dig because I read it and I didn't read it, but he was like, a veteran can always, I'm paraphrasing, basically saying could always initially stabilize an offense. I was kind of like, he's just basically saying that he's only done well because it's like a feel good factor, playing a bit of mind games there. But I think it was more just that the Bengals, as we know, have an awful defense. We spoke about that in our, preseason previews, and the fact that Joe Burrow's out. Of course, they weren't going to get anything going. So Vikings, you spoke about Flores before in our other topic, Fred. He's a great defensive coordinator. He dialed up enough blitzes and enough plays to sort of throw him off, and that probably has settled any nerves that Wentz had because he just had to. Still made some great plays. I was watching, obviously, on Red Zone. He did well. But I know your defense, obviously, as in the Steelers, weren't great the first 2 weeks. Still gave up a lot of yards against my Patriots, but forced turnovers, which was encouraging. And I think it'll be a lot bigger test, for him to go against the talent that's on your team. When they come to London, they'll be fine. Well, actually, that's harsh.
I don't know. The Browns defense, that's a real defense.
Hey, if that Browns defense are playing against the Packers comes to London, it might actually it'll be good that we're there. It'll actually be an entertaining game. So, I guess I'm more intrigued to see if he does play well. And we're probably in Sam Darnold territory again from last year, where I was saying, if it comes to London and they're winning and then they leave, narrative changes on this team. The narrative on Carson Wentz will be interesting, whether he's going to continue the full season if they leave this international tour with 2 wins.
Because Adam McCarthy in them games did not look great, did he? He didn't look like he was setting the world alight just yet, and he did look like much like in our first section with Jaxson Dart, looked like maybe, all right, he was on the sideline last year, but he was on the sideline watching at home. That is very different from being on the sideline and being part of the squad. I've just got, as per Adam Schefter 2 days ago, he is coming. He is coming to Europe, so he will be here for the next 2 games in Dublin, Ireland, and in at Tottenham, London. So he'll be there. But when I look at Wentz's journey, right, since he was drafted in 2016, he was at the Eagles, obviously MVP. Nearly went to the Super Bowl, but was not participating in their playoff run because of injury. Then played at the Colts, started at the Commanders. And then in the last 2 years, it felt like them teams were like, where could I be a starter? And then when I look at it now, 2023 goes to the Rams. 2024, he goes to the Chiefs. This year, he goes to the Vikings. I think he's been very, very smart in that, look, I'm not going to be a starter. I'm not going to be a starter in this league. This is clear to me now. But where can I go where I can absorb the most knowledge, where I can be around coaching, but is at the highest talent with Sean McVay, with Andy Reid, with Kevin O'Connell? He's been very, very smart about his moves. Now, that could be to do with people who wanted him and what teams wanted him, etc., etc. But it says something to me about them 3 teams who've been so successful in the last 3 or 4 years that they all either approached him or got the deal done for him to be there as a backup or as the 3rd string. What do you think that says about Carson?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there is an element of knowledge. I think there's also or gaining knowledge from coaches. I think there's also an element of making sure that you're in a position where there is a chance that you can play as well. Not so much with the Chiefs, but certainly with the Rams, with Stafford and his injury history. Certainly at the moment, you've got JJ McCarthy, obviously rookie quarterback, so you just don't know how that's going to go. So there is a bit of that. But yeah, I mean, it does show that maybe there's still a bit of fight left in him, and that he thinks that he can still get involved in games and play and show what he can do. And that obviously this game against the Bengals defense, as Sky said, we did come out and say how bad they were, and we're expecting them not to get much better this season. So it's not a massive shock. Obviously, with Burrow not being there, there's no sort of nothing from, or not much from their offense. So it did become a bit of an easy win. And you do have to remember a lot of it came from the defense. There was a lot of that. So yes, they put up 48 points, but Wentz did only have 2 passing touchdowns. So it's not like it was an amazing game from him. It was a solid game from him, and he did well. And I think, like you say, he's probably garnered that information from these really good coaches. And also, I think there's an element of, if you can do well as a backup, then it keeps you going in the league, doesn't it? It's like, if he goes to the Rams and he's with Sean McVay, well, Kevin O'Connell's come from the same coaching tree as that, and they come out and go, well, how about you give him a go? And so in that respect, I think he's probably done well to make sure that he's kept himself relevant, I suppose, is what it's about. So yeah, I think he's probably been quite clever with what he's done. Maybe he might have given up money, who knows, in order to be able to do that. You don't know. But I think that game, although there's a lot of sort of caveats to it, I think it does show that he still has a little bit of something left, and that he could be decent for the Vikings. He could kind of do a Sam Darnold and sort of have that potential to look like someone who's washed, but could come back and under very good coaching could actually be all right. So yeah, I think he's got a solid chance of doing well for them.
The only problem with Carson, obviously, his age isn't on this side compared to someone like Sam Darnold, isn't it? Like,
of course, yeah,
that is the case.
Right,
And
yeah,
and I mean, I'm going to ask both of you this, but Sky, obviously, you can answer first, and Adam after. Well, actually, 1 point beforehand. Yes, the defense did a lot of very, very good work for the Vikings, but coming from a Steelers fan who's seen this, you still got to get the points. And I have had a defense for a long time who's been very good at stopping the points, but then an offense that is just not capable of getting the points and putting them points up. And, it is all very good saying that, oh, yeah, well, the defense, if they had a poor defense, would they have won it? Yeah, maybe they wouldn't have, but you got to still score the points. And that was Carson Wentz. And yeah, we've never doubted about the talent that the Vikings have in their running back room. Yes, all right, they've got Aaron Jones and Jibber. Jordan Mason's a more than capable backup. Justin Jefferson, fantastic. They're getting back Jordan Addison. In fact, they might be getting Jordan Addison back for this game, I believe.
Yeah,
against the Steelers. Jalen Naylor as well, speedy. He's amazing. There, TJ Hawkinson, the tight end whose name I just completely forgot then, who's really good as well. But here's an interesting question. If they come back to America, what would they be? 4-1. Does he stay in? Because he's McCarthy's scheduled to be back by week 7, which is the game after the bye, which is hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. Just to note that as well.
Obviously, it depends on how they win, but I think probably yes, because we saw it with, it was a quarterback competition last offseason, right? Between Darnold and McCarthy, and then the injury happened. It was Darnold. People forget the Vikings they've got the most expensive roster in the league, I think, in terms of what they're spending, and haven't won a playoff game in like 6 years. that division is insane. We know the Lions and Packers are better than them, and Bears, I won't say they are, but I think they're at least more talented or have the potential to be. But what I'm getting at is the Vikings spending that much money. If your quarterback gets you to 4-1, I think O'Connell thinks, well, I need to give us with the best possible chance to get us to the postseason again and try and get over that playoff hump. And maybe Wentz is the one in the short term to do that. And then also maybe again for McCarthy, we talk about development of quarterbacks. It's another injury and it's another way of protecting him. And then he gets more, experience learning again on the bench. But I just don't really see a situation where I don't think Wentz is going to play that fantastically, where it's more him who he just needs to really game manage in these next couple of games and do and then he might have a chance. If he tries to do hero ball, which we know he has tried, I think he tried that a lot in Indy as well when he was trying to have his redemption arc. If he goes and tries to be old Carson Wentz, McCarthy might get his job back. But I think it's possible. I think if they come back to America 4-1, he probably will keep it, at least for the Eagles game, because I think of the viewings you'll get. Wentz back against Philly. Oh, the NFL will love it.
But, but again, I mean, the NFL would love it. That would feel so scripted. But again, say he doesn't, Adam, and he comes back 0-2 from Europe. They then host Philly, at the Chargers, at the Lions, host the Ravens, host the Bears, at Packers, at Seahawks, host the Commanders, at Dallas, at New York, host Lions, host Packers. That's to close out the season. I mean, for JJ McCarthy to come back to Eagles, Chargers, Lions, Ravens, Bears, in Packers, Seahawks, Commanders, who have all got very good defense. I mean, that is... yeah, imagine.
I think he's their fourth straight. Or Kevin O'Connell might get some snaps in. He played quarterback. Maybe he'll get his shoulder ready to rock and roll.
Firstly, do you think he'll come back 0-2 or 2-0, Adam? And then you can answer the best of the question.
Yeah, exactly. Neither.
I think he'll go 1-1.
Yeah,
1-1.
Yeah, I think they. It's really difficult because the Steelers' defense is not what it was based on what I've seen from the first 3 weeks, and because of that, you feel like the Vikings have got a good chance of winning that game. But I think it'll be tight. It wouldn't shock me if they lost it and the Steelers won it. So I think that's a bit 50-50. I would be surprised if the Vikings lost to the Browns. So I'll say I think it's 1-1 or 2-0. I think they're the two options personally. I don't think they go 0-2. And to be honest, at 1-1, it means you're what, 3-2? I think that you keep Wentz in. McCarthy looked awful. Like he's played 2 games. The first game he was dreadful for 3 quarters, and then looked all right at the end and got a couple of touchdowns. He looked okay against Chicago, and then against Atlanta just looked dreadful. Just didn't do anything at all. Looked awful. What did he have? He had a couple of interceptions. I don't think they got a touchdown against Atlanta. Wasn't it 2 field goals they got? It was dire.
I was in the bar for that game. It was awful.
His stats are 24-41, 301 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks, 9 sacks. That was in 2 games.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So it's not great. Sometimes it doesn't work, does it? It's like, and Andrew will be the first one to come out and say that he spent most of his time at Michigan just passing the ball off to the running back, and yeah, he had a few throws, but it wasn't great. And I remember when we did the draft show, and I came out and said it's really difficult to judge this guy because there just wasn't much when it came to passing the ball. And he stepped up. Obviously he's missed the whole of the first year. Stepped up into the NFL, and the first couple of games have been pretty poor. So yeah, it's been tough. I think if you're 3-2, if you're 4-1, you're rolling with Wentz, aren't you? And it kind of showed that the Vikings are willing to do that because of what happened last year as well. It's like, I know it's an injury and it was a bit different, and McCarthy couldn't come back, but they were willing to let Darnold take it on, and it worked. And I think that they might think that this could work with Wentz as well.
I think, sorry, just to say one last point, Fred, I think they would probably do it the smart way of let Wentz have it, because I do think there's potential there with McCarthy. I know it was only the Bears week 1, but he made some decent plays and obviously got found out against Atlanta. That's going to happen because it is essentially his rookie year. But I think they would probably lean towards Wentz at first. And then if he has an absolute stinker, say, against the Eagles, then O'Connell might go, right, now I'll go back to McCarthy. Because like Adam said, they're clearly not a team who feels any type of way to not make that change. And as I was saying, when you spend that much money, that he's a great offensive mind. He's going to commit to what he thinks is going to work week by week. So I think whatever decision they make, it'll be fine because it's O'Connell calling in place.
I think for me, you've got to think about the future of your franchise, and I think no matter what record you could come back with Wentz, you go back to McCarthy. I think having this a quarterback controversy is just so unhealthy. If definitely from a Steelers fan, it's just so unhealthy for any team. And even running a hot hand, I think you go, well, no, running the hot hand is going to damage the quarterback that I want for the future. And they clearly are invested in him. They clearly are. They wouldn't have drafted him. They wouldn't have put the time and effort they have put into him. They wouldn't have started him this season if they didn't think there was something there. So I think either way, whatever they come back, it's still his role for me. We're going to keep with the Viking theme here, really, because we move on to their ex-quarterback, which is Sam Darnold. Darnold dazzling in Seattle after beating the New Orleans Saints, the terrible New Orleans Saints. And funnily enough, we predicted that. They beat him 44-13. Sam Darnold going 14 for 18, 218 yards, 2 touchdowns. This is looking like he wasn't some sort of one-season wonder in Minnesota, isn't it, Adam? I mean, obviously he got drafted by the Jets, didn't work out, went to the Panthers, didn't work out there, went as a backup to the 49ers. They weren't ever going to keep him. Got the backup job at Minnesota, and as we spoke about in our middle section just then, he then came for the injured JJ McCarthy. A lot of teams were looking at him. A lot of teams wanted him. A lot of fans wanted him. And Seattle were the ones that were sealed him to quite a big contract. And let's all be honest, I think we're all a little bit like, well, you got to go prove it now, man. You got to go prove it and show us what you can do. And, you know, they're 2-1. They lost their first game of the season to the 49ers. That was a close game. He's looking pretty darn good. Darnold good, some may say.
Some may say that, yeah. Yeah, he's looked decent. I think the real test and the real one that he's played against was definitely away at Pittsburgh. I think the fact that he did have a couple of interceptions, he wasn't great, but the fact that he had a couple of touchdowns, 295 yards as well. You know, they got 31 points. They looked like a good team. I think, again, this is about the right guy in a system that's working, and there's a lot of credit that needs to go to Mike McDonald. The defense is very, very good. The special teams has been great for the Seahawks in the last few weeks. But Darnold is looking good as well. And he made a couple of mistakes against the Steelers, but he had a pretty clean game against the 49ers. And then it's difficult, isn't it, against the Saints, because they're so crap. It's like it's difficult. I think everyone's going to look good against them this year. It's just what they've done to their franchise. So it's really tough in that respect. But yeah, I think he's looking all right. He's looking like the Sam Darnold of last year. And I think to be honest, I think that's probably all that the Seahawks could really have hoped for was to get that Sam Darnold. Because when you remember what he was like and how bad he was at the Jets and how it was such a struggle all the time, and you just kind of felt like this guy is never going to get it going. And then he kind of, he went back and sort of like went into being a backup, and now he's sort of like developed himself and he's become a starter again, and it feels like he really has done. He's done well, and you know, I will keep saying the same old thing. Let them sit, let them develop. You know, you throw him in at the Jets and all hell breaks loose. What a surprise! You know, this is the thing, but he's had time and it's worked, and now he's getting. He's been with a couple of organisations in the Vikings and now at the Seahawks, and you've got some good coaching, some quality coaching going on there, and he's looking all right, and they're using him in the right way. And so, yeah, I think he's going to be good for them. And a lot of people were saying, why are you getting rid of Geno? Why are you bringing Sam Darnold? You're basically paying exactly the same. What are you doing this for? Well, in a way, you could argue you've kind of almost got yourself a Geno, just 6 or 7 years younger. So happy days, sort of, for the Seahawks.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You've basically got Geno younger and probably better, just slightly better, but with the same sort of style skill set. Yeah, I mean, he actually threw for more yards against the Steelers than he did against the Saints, fully enough. He threw for 278 and threw for 233 against New Orleans. Obviously, close game with the 49ers, but only threw for 146. What's his stat line of the season so far? 663 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's also, if I just get my notes back up here, 7th in completion percentage, 14th in yards, 4 touchdowns, like I said, 3rd in yards per attempt, 8th in passer rating, and it's been pretty clean. He's only been sacked 3 times, Sky. I think this is, and we said it with Wentz as well about the coaching, like, and his team movement post being a starter. San Francisco, Shanahan, fantastic coach. Kevin O'Connell at the Vikings, incredible coach. Mike McDonald, who is proving, again, what we were saying about New York Giants in our first section, in terms of who looks like a good coordinator, a good head coach, who just looks like a coordinator, who looks like they shouldn't even be a coordinator. Mike McDonald is really fitting in to that head coaching role at Seattle and making an immense defense, and he's got something really good going on here. And they moved off some big guys this year. They moved off DK Metcalf. They moved off of Tyler Lockett. You know, they brought in Cooper Kupp, who's pretty much seen as past it completely, really. They said, let's put our faith in Jackson Smith and Jigba. And it seems to be panning out. I mean, he's got less weapons than he did in Minnesota, and he's making it work.
I do agree with all of your points. I feel like Clint Kubiak, who obviously, when he was hired by McDonald, he said, I want the offense to mirror our football team and mirror what the defense is doing, being physical. And you speak about coaching trees before. Obviously, he was the 49ers pass game coordinator. He's been an OC at the Vikings. It's clearly a guy who, you know, knows how to sort of call plays and get the best out of the offense that he has. I'm happy for Sam Darnold. The only thing I think about this season, like, their schedule is easy. They play the AFC South. That division is not as strong as it was. They've got the Titans. Like,
I can put it up here. 1 second, just give me a moment. They're at the Cardinals next. They're hosting the Bucks. They're at the Jags. They host the Texans. The bye week. They're at the Commanders. Host the Cards. At the Rams. At the Titans. Host the Vikings. At the Falcons. Host the Colts. The Rams. At Panthers. At 49ers to close it out. It isn't a bad schedule.
Other than the Buccaneers and the Rams, because the Niners are getting banged up again. I know they just lost to them. But
Colts in week 15, no?
Like, it could be one of those situations. And look, I'm happy, but like, they were 10-7 last year. I think just missed out on the playoffs. Like, they probably could potentially, you know, have a good season and be that. But I think it's probably one of those cases of like, they might. I think they're building something good. They're playing a lot of bad average teams, but that is good for a guy like Sam Darnold, who it took a lot of time to get his confidence going, like Adam said, and his confidence will grow even more. So maybe 1 year in this system with confidence build something better. But I'm just a little like, even that Steelers game, the Steelers throwing it away. You had the bizarre special teams thing that happened. Like it wasn't. I think for me that was more like the way that the Patriots beat ourselves against you guys. I thought that was more they beat themselves. The Steelers beat themselves against Seattle, which does happen in the early weeks of the season. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm not as convinced probably as you. But
do you think there's an element of luck in it? Do you think?
Yeah, and I think that luck will continue because that like any team who had the drawing playing the AFC South this season, bloody hell, that's a lot of nice wins to have. And I think that if anything makes the NFC West probably look better, but it's not as strong as it was, before. It's I mean, the fact that even people before the season, some people might even said Seattle have a chance was mainly because we know Stafford could get hurt at any point. Touchwood not, because we all do like the Rams and they're a great team. But even the Niners, Bosa's done for the year now. We're getting to the point with the 49ers where we're going to think, well, Purdy's been banged up, Bosa's banged up. Like the door's open for them. Yeah, but I think it's open because, like you said, an element of luck. But you have to take advantage of that, right? So if they can carry on being hot and do well, then fair play to them. I just think a lot of the success by the end of the year will be 70% circumstantial.
Because you could, like we did say about the Vikings defense being really good. I said that Wentz had to get the points on the board though, and you could say the exact same thing about Seattle, couldn't you, Adam? Like you have to get points on the board, but like it was a very close game against 49ers and you lost, and that was only 17-13. All right, first game we're part of the new team, I suppose, and then you win 31-17 against Pittsburgh, but there's a lot of element of Pittsburgh performing incredibly poorly, and then you smash New Orleans, but who's not going to smash New Orleans? Who's not going to do that this year? So then when you look at, like, for me, litmus test, maybe the Commanders in week 9.
I think the Bucks.
Sorry, yes, the Bucks in week 5. Yes,
yeah,
apologies.
I think the Bucks.
Do you think that's the litmus test for them? For is this going to work?
Yeah, Bucks, Commanders, Rams. I think that's probably what you're looking at. But yeah, I mean, I think just to come out and say it's lucky, I think is a bit harsh on them. But yeah, they do have an easier schedule. You can't come out and say it's not. It's quite clear that it's an easier schedule. So but I think the thing that's good about this team, just in general, is that they are literally scoring from all three parts of the team. That's the thing. It's not all about Sam Darnold. It's not all about the defense restricting the opposition. They're scoring as well. The special teams, like I said, it's been crazy. Horton, who they've got, it's been really, really good for them on special teams, and that they're capable of scoring from anywhere now, and I think that's the real positive that they've got. But yeah, I mean they're a solid team. That I don't think there's anything spectacular about them, and they probably will be found out at some stage. I think that kind of does make sense, where they will go up against that better quality opponent who just will blitz them at some point. But I think they're going to be a tough team to beat. And we go on a lot about the McVay coaching tree and the Shanahan coaching tree, and how it all goes down the same thing. Clint Kubiak obviously is doing a great job here, and he has come from the same thing. I think the Harbaugh coaching tree is really underrated. And I think you're seeing this with Mike McDonald. I think you're going to see it next year when Jesse Minter gets a head coaching job. I'd be surprised if that doesn't happen. And you're starting to see that, that is a bit of an underrated one as well. And but yeah, I think the Seahawks, they'll do well, and I think they're going to push the Rams and the 49ers for the division, definitely.
Well, certainly make it fun, because we want all divisions to be as fun as possible and as competitive as possible as well. Adam, Sky, thank you very much for joining me on this episode, and thank you all for watching or for listening on whatever podcast platform you have watched or listened to us on. Make sure you check out our socials over the weekend. We are going to be in Dublin, Ireland for the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Minnesota Vikings game. We're going to be doing a lot of very fun activities. Myself, Sky, Andrew will be there, representing the franchise tag, also Sky representing Sky's the Limit, his channel, and we'll be with some very good friends as well. Shane Brennan from the Irish NFL Show, Andy Davis from Across the Pond podcast. We've got a lot of friends that we've got to catch up with, and a lot of G's to be splitting, as we laughed about earlier. Adam, Skype, thank you again. Thank you guys for watching or listening. Make sure you check out our socials, like and subscribe on YouTube, and we'll see you all again very soon.